Welcome to Sports Banter 38. This is Coach Carroll, and in this video we're going to go over this week's upcoming college football action. I believe it is week number 4. And to start off, we've got Florida Atlantic going to number 16, Central Florida. Central Florida has been looking pretty good. They're the mid-major that if any team had a shot at making the playoffs, it might be Central Florida. Like I said, they've gone through their first couple weeks and they've looked pretty impressive. But and it looks like Florida Atlantic with Lane Kiffin, that should be a pretty big win if they're able to pull that off for their division. Then we're going to some Big Ten action. We've got number 10 Penn State going to Illinois at 2-1. Of course, the quarterback out at Penn State, McSorley, is having a pretty good year so far, and he's looking really good. I actually believe Penn State should have no problem with Illinois. They should be able to win this game pretty easily, probably 49-17 or somewhere around there. Moving on, sticking with the Big Ten, we got Nebraska going to number 19, Michigan. Michigan with their only loss against Notre Dame so far. They have looked better, but they haven't looked as good as I thought they were going to look. But Nebraska has looked horrible thus far. Their quarterback Martinez, the freshman, true freshman, he's been out. Andrew Bunch has been in for Nebraska, and he actually didn't play too bad last week, but they played Troy and they were defeated. I don't know when the last time Troy was able to beat Nebraska, but that's definitely not looking good so far. But you know, it's still really early in Frost's tenure at Nebraska, so you know, give the guy a couple years, see what he can get in there. Michigan, on the other hand, Shea Patterson has played better. I believe they should win this game going away. I'm going to say 42-21 or something like that, because Nebraska has shown the ability to put up some points. So the Michigan should win convincingly, but like I said, I see Nebraska putting some points on the board. Moving on, we got number 8 Notre Dame going to Wake Forest. Notre Dame's defense has played great, and I feel like that's the strength of this team. I don't believe Wake Forest is going to be able to generate that much offense against Notre Dame. Wimbush has played pretty good at quarterback for Notre Dame. They've been somewhat one-dimensional at times, but they're athletically been really not superior to everyone they've played, but they've been better athletically than everyone they've played, and that's been enough to keep them undefeated. And I believe they'll be able to go on the road and defeat Wake Forest fairly convincingly. I'm going to say 31-10 or somewhere around there. I don't see them having too many problems with Wake Forest. Moving on, we got number 2 Georgia going to Missouri. Both teams are still undefeated at 3-0. Missouri has been able to put up points in bunches pretty quickly. I don't see them putting up points as quickly as they have against other teams. They may be able to score some, but Georgia, to me, has one of the top 3 defenses in all of college football, and athletically and talent-wise, they are a couple of notches, if not more, ahead of Missouri, and I feel like that will shine through. There are people who are picking an upset this week with Missouri over Georgia. I do not see that at all. I see at least a 3-touchdown win again for Georgia. And I'm going to go Georgia 45, Missouri 20. And that should be a fun game, but Georgia's athletic superiority will shine through at the end. Moving on, we got number 23, Boston College, going to Purdue. Purdue has been a great disappointment. I still see them. I thought they were going to finish second in the Big Ten. They've just not played good at all. And, you know, big expectations with Fromm. He was a hot commodity in the coaching carousel at the end of last season. And maybe he should have took a job. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I see Boston College squeaking through this one. I'm going to say 27-21. It'd probably be a decent game, but you know, like I said, I got Boston College remaining undefeated. Moving on, this is the SEC game of the week. We got number 22 Texas A&M at 2-1 versus Alabama at 3-0. Now A&M lost to Clemson, which is one of the top 4 teams in the country. So you know, there's no skin off their hide for that. Offensively, they've looked pretty impressive. You know, under Jimbo Fisher. Going into Alabama has their defense has picked up, even though they lost quite a few from last year's team. They've been able to recoup. Of course, you got Tua at quarterback with Jalen Hurts kind of coming in some and playing, but for the most part, Alabama at home should not have any problem with A&M. I'm gonna say A&M's going to be able to put up some points, but Alabama is just too good offensively and defensively and all the way around. So I'm going to say Alabama. I don't think they're going to blow up 50 like they did last week, but I want 50 or 60 rather. I'm going to say Alabama 48 and A&M 24. I see A&M putting up some points. Moving on, Florida International going to Miami University. I got Miami winning that game 38-17. Then we go to Kansas State going to West Virginia. Kansas State 2-1 with their one loss coming against Mississippi State. West Virginia still undefeated. Will Grier is off the charts with his passing accuracy, and I believe he will continue to look good. I feel like Kansas State's going to test them a little bit, but I got West Virginia 35-21. Moving on, we got Tulane going to number 4 Ohio State. Ohio State will score 60-70 points and will win that game. Clemson going to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech with their triple option may give them a little bit of problems, but Clemson with their defensive line, they're going to be able to handle it. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. Clemson, Trevor Lawrence may be starting. I'm not sure what the status on Kelly Bryant is, but this could be Trevor Lawrence's first start as a Clemson Tiger. And regardless who starts, I believe Clemson wins this one 38-21. Moving on, Virginia Tech going to Old Dominion. Virginia Tech big, 40-50 to 0-3-7, something like that. Going on to TCU versus Texas. TCU going to Texas. TCU looked impressive to me despite losing to Ohio State. Very, very fast team. I've seen Texas and TCU, despite Texas looking impressive against USC last week. I see TCU really pouring it on Texas at home, and I believe TCU will win 41-17. Moving on, McNeese State going to BYU. BYU should be able to handle McNeese State no problem, probably 45-6 or something like that. Louisiana Tech going to LSU. LSU big. Joe Burrow will look better numbers-wise this game. LSU will win 52-10. Moving on, Mississippi State 3-0 going to Kentucky 3-0. That is a very, very interesting game, and I expect Kentucky to play with Mississippi State, and I expect Kentucky to give them a game, but I expect Mississippi State to win this game 35-31. It's probably going to be one of the better games of the week. Now going on, Army with their vaunted veer option against Oklahoma. Oklahoma is at number 5, where is exactly where I believe they should be. They are just outside the top 4. I believe the top 4 kind of separate themselves, but Oklahoma is pretty close in that number 4 spot. Kyler McMurray, right now he's my Heisman favorite. He's been playing his butt off. Army will not be able to play with Oklahoma. Oklahoma will be able to get ahead early, and that veer option will basically be off the table because they'll be behind. They'll have to throw. That's not their strength. They'll continue to fall behind. I'm going to say Oklahoma 56, Army 14. Moving on, we got Texas Tech going to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State undefeated at 3-0. Texas Tech will put up some points, but Oklahoma State should have no problem beating Texas. And I'm going to say we've got a score of 42-21. Moving on, we got Arkansas going to Auburn. Arkansas just lost to North Texas last week. Auburn barely lost to LSU. We got Auburn big in this one, 45-7. Arkansas is just not any good this year. Moving on, number 24, Michigan State going to 3-0 Indiana. I got Michigan State in this one, 31-17. Then we got number 7 Stanford going to number 20 Oregon. This could be a tricky game for Oregon, but I believe Stanford is a little too good for Oregon. I can see Bryce Love having a pretty big game this week, and I got Stanford in a close one, 38-35. Moving on, we got number 18 Wisconsin coming off the upset to BYU, going to 3-0 Iowa. And this is another tricky one. I'm actually going to pick an upset this week. I feel like Iowa will be able to hold off Wisconsin, and I'm going to say 27-24, and what could be one of the better games of the week. Then we go Arizona State going to Washington. Herman Edwards at Arizona State's doing an excellent job so far. They're able to upset Michigan State earlier, but Washington, I believe, will be a little too much, and I've got Washington winning this game 38-24. And that's going to conclude it for this week's college football action. Looks like we got a really good slate of games. I hope everyone watches and is able to enjoy these games this week. And just comment. Let me know what you think about my analysis. Do you see where I'm wrong, or you agree? You know, all those things. I'd love to get a good discussion going, guys. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. It really helps me out a lot. And everyone have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the football. I know I will. And this is Coach Carroll with Sports Banner 38, and we are out.